You read the title and you must be thinking, what did this fool do now? Well, this story is from a long time ago when your boy was only 18 years old. I was coming to the age where I wanted to learn how to drive and get my license, so I begged my parents to teach me how to drive. They decided to set me up with lessons with the driving school that like 99.99% of the family went to learn how to drive. Yup, I was eventually that 0.01%. These lessons sucked. The first 3 lessons, they had me sit in the car, turn it on, and just steer and do things in place. That was 3 lessons of me just turning the steering wheel like a toddler for an hour each. After the 3rd lesson, I decided I was done with them and asked my parents if I could switch to a different driving school. They agreed, and boom, I was freed from baby car jail and graduated to big boy, NASCAR, Fast and the Furious, Need for Speed, Forza. What the heck was I talking about? Oh yeah, new driving school. My new instructor, let's call him Roger, took me driving around my area for my first lesson. This was my first lesson where we were actually moving the car. Roger was this pretty chill old dude that made me feel relaxed about driving. I started up the car, got out of the parking spot, and drove like an expert. Roger said I was a pretty good driver, and the tip he gave me was actually to drive faster. I was so worried about going too fast I was driving under the speed limit. So I got the green light to go fast, and I did. I went a whole 35 miles per hour. I was on cloud 9 because I was actually driving. But that's when it all came to a sudden end. 15 minutes into the lesson, we were coming to the home stretch and finally making my way back home. I drove up to a stop always sign, looked forward, looked left, and then looked right, and the coast was clear. I started going into the intersection, and then boom! This guy came bursting down my left side in his SUV, hit the car by the back door, and there we went, me and Roger, spinning in the car over and over and over, and wham! Right into a parking spot. I was in so much shock that I was clutching the steering wheel and didn't move. I looked over at Roger, and thankfully both of us were fine, and so was the other driver and passengers. Roger got out of the car to check the damages, talked to the guy, and yelled at him and whatnot. The back of the car was pretty busted up, but not so bad. I stayed in the car the whole time until they had another instructor come pick me up and drop me home. A couple of days later, I got another lesson from Roger, and we talked about the accident. He was telling me the guy was on his phone with his kids in the car, wasn't paying attention, and ended up hitting us. I was so stunned and wowed by this first experience. I eventually got my license after another lesson, and I haven't gotten into an accident since. I also learned something funny after. I was actually one of Roger's last students because prior to booking him, he was going to retire at the end of the week. This man was about to retire, took me driving, and in his final couple of lessons, and in my first, we got into an accident. I felt horrible. Moral of the story, I don't know. Maybe don't be like that other dude that hit us, and pay attention to what you're doing. You never know what can happen. And I know what you're thinking. Yep, I'm an expert at driving now.